they'll see the bright side. They'll see how easy it is to buy groceries or pay bills instantly. They'll hear stories of how CBDCs reduce crime or corruption. It will look like a win for everyone. Just like social media once looked like a way to connect the world before it turned into a tool for mass data collection. This is how every big shift in power happens. First, they promise convenience. Then, they build dependence. Finally, they use that dependence for control. But here's the truth. CBDCs aren't being designed to give you freedom. They're being designed to give them control. Once cash is gone, once the system is digital and centralized, there's no way to opt out. And that's the part no one is talking about. By now, you can see how easily people could welcome something that might take away their most basic financial rights. But this isn't just a theory. Governments are already testing the tools of control that would come with it. Next, we'll dig into the control side, the part they don't tell you. You'll see how CBDCs can be used to track, limit, and even punish through money itself. The promises sound bright, but the reality is far darker than most people can imagine. Here's the part no one wants to talk about. The control, the real reason central bank digital currencies are being pushed so hard. See, when money turns fully digital and is controlled by a central authority, it's no longer just a tool for trade. It becomes a tool for power. And whoever controls that tool can shape the behavior of millions, even billions of people without ever passing a law or sending a soldier. Let's imagine how this could work. You wake up one morning, open your digital wallet, and notice something strange. You can't buy gas because you've already reached your monthly carbon limit. You try to book a flight, but it's blocked due to environmental restrictions. Maybe you post something critical online, and suddenly your wallet freezes for a security review. Sounds extreme. It's not, because with a CBDC, that kind of power is built into the system itself. Every transaction you make can be monitored, traced, and analyzed in real time. The system doesn't just know how much money you have, it knows what you do with it, where you go, what you value, what you support. It's like giving the government an access pass to your life, updated every second. And the most dangerous part, you can't say no, because in a world without cash, there is no offline. Every dollar is inside the system, and the system belongs to them. Remember when governments froze bank accounts of certain protesters in Canada? They didn't need to pass a new law. They just ordered banks to shut down access to people's money. That was possible in a system still using commercial banks. Now imagine if every citizen's money sat directly inside a government-controlled account. They wouldn't even need to call a bank. One click, and you're locked out of your own funds. And that's just one layer of control. The next is programmable spending with CBDCs. Central banks can decide how your money is used. They can approve or deny purchases instantly. For example, your stimulus money might only be valid for groceries or utilities, not for saving or investing. Or maybe your funds come with a time limit, forcing you to spend within a deadline. They can shape your financial behavior with invisible rules you can't change or question. Governments might start with good intentions, like preventing fraud or promoting responsible spending. But history shows what happens when power meets temptation. Every new rule will come for your safety. Every new restriction will be temporary. And before long, people will wake up in a society where money itself obeys the system, not the person. And here's another piece of the puzzle. Surveillance. When money becomes data, it merges with everything else tracked about you. Your phone location, social media, medical records, digital ID. All those systems can talk to each other. Once that happens, financial privacy, one of the last true forms of freedom, is gone forever. You won't need to be accused of a crime to be monitored. The system will already know what you're doing, and it will decide what normal looks like. Think about how easy it is to silence someone today by deleting their account or shadow banning their voice online. Now imagine doing that with money. One day, you might not even realize you've been restricted until your payment fails. No court, no warning, just a quiet block in a digital system